welcome everybody. My name is Eleni. I work for an organisation called Race Equality Foundation, and I'm here to present our 6-week free online course, which we've called Stronger Relationships. So what we know, and bearing in mind who I'm presenting to, what we know is that children can adjust really well to parents separating, just as they adjust well with love and support to a different teacher or perhaps moving home. What we know is that it's the conflict between those main carers, essentially mum and dad, but it can include others, that harms children. So arguing, not being able to communicate at all, going through the court process, whatever it looks like in your family, can be harming your children in the short term and in the longer term. So what does the course look like? What do we cover? We mainly focus on exploring our values as parents. How do we want to raise our children? And we look at 4 areas in particular. We look at their physical health, so where they're going to live, who they will see, who are the people around them that we want around them, and also other things about their health, healthy eating, things like bedtime, things like health and hygiene. And for older children, we also discuss those things and get parents to reflect upon what they want to do as their children get older around things like sex, relationships, drugs, alcohol, smoking. The other area we look at is education and their kind of mental development, and our parents agreeing on that. How do they want to raise them? Who's helping them with their homework? That type of thing. Then we've got their emotional well-being. As I've just said, we know that parents separating isn't an issue for children as long as they're supported and loved. But children who are struggling and are in the middle of their parents arguing can really be affected emotionally. And so what are parents' values around that type of support? Do they believe, perhaps, like we see in some families that are very high profile in the UK, maybe the royal family, stiff upper lip, not talking about their emotions? Or does a parent really want to be very supportive and hands-on around that? And then last but not least, the 4th area is faith and spirituality. For some families, in some of our communities, faith is incredibly important. Going to church, going to mosque, going to synagogue, going to temple, whatever it looks like, are both parents supporting that? How does that look? How do you want it to look? Course then looks at different communication techniques, how to be more assertive, clearer in what we want, explaining to our co-parent or co-carer why we think this should happen for our child, and techniques to be less confrontational, clearer, assertive, and not to create more conflict. We offer emotional support for parents and for children, and we look at some skills to manage anger and work things out if they can be worked out. And in fact, one of the things, a part of our project that we're really beginning to start now, is working towards something called a parenting plan, which is essentially an agreement between parents to be respectful to each other, and then really looking at what I would call the nuts and bolts of parenting. Where will this child live? Who will pick up from school? Who will buy the school uniform? What will this child be fed? Anything and everything parents want to put into an agreement, we can do that. So that's kind of the direction that the course hopes to encourage parents towards, this idea of a blueprint, a plan for raising their child, however old our children are, from 0 into adulthood. So that's what the course covers, quite a lot. in just 6 weeks. So it's 6 weeks in 2 parts. The first part is self-study, individual self-study sessions. And by that, I mean parents logging on to our website. They each session will have videos from other parents sharing their experiences. It will have games and sort of made up scenarios to get us thinking as parents, what would I do in this situation? Each of those sessions takes about 40 minutes. And each week we give parents an activity to try at home to take those small steps to see if they can make a difference. Those self-study sessions each week are then followed up by an hour-long group discussion on Zoom. And those discussions are in groups of between 3 and 6 parents. We aim for 6. Sometimes we have less, sometimes we have slightly more, but we never go above 7 or 8. Those group discussions last for an hour, and they are led by myself or one of our team. And the idea is to discuss what we have looked at in our individual sessions and apply what we have learned to our own families. And as we know, each of our families is different. Each parent, in addition to the self-study and the group discussions, will also receive a digital manual. So unfortunately, as a charity, we haven't been able to print the manuals. And actually, I think it's probably easier that there is a book, as it were, a manual that you can just flick through online and dip in and out of as you wish. And we also offer one-to-one telephone, email, text support with parents as and when they need it, and for as much as they need, really, as much as we are able and as much as is needed. So that's the course and what it involves. I think I put in an animation. Course is suitable for couples. I appreciate that this is a single parents network, but it's also suitable for single mums and dads. And actually, there is a system that we have where we do invite co-parents. Can't force people to come along. We do believe that it's beneficial for both parents to be on our course, but we do make sure that parents are in separate discussion groups if that's what they request. Some parents, even though they're separated, ask to be in the same group, and that's fine too. We know that many people in our communities live with extended family, and that many single parents rely on their own mothers, their sisters, their fathers, cousins, friends to co-parent with them to raise their children. And we've seen that sometimes that there are disagreements. Perhaps it's because of different generations, but it can just be because of different ideas. And so we're always happy to welcome people like grandparents if they are the main carer, and actually if the disagreement is between, for example, mum and grandma. So it doesn't necessarily have to be mum and dad. It can be variations. It's all about who are the main carers. We also include in that step parents. This course is very suitable for parents who are in the family court system, thinking about going through the family court system, or have already gone through the family court system. For those of you who have been through the system or know someone who has, we know it's long, we know it's expensive, and we know it's emotionally draining for you and sometimes for older children who are interviewed, also for our children. So if we can do something to avoid the family courts, all the better, I think. We've also worked with parents who are in the care system, so where social workers are involved. In fact, some of the communication techniques that we talk about are really helpful when speaking to someone in authority, like a social worker or a judge. As parents, we are emotional. when we are talking about our children, and actually being able to speak in an assertive, clear way, and use evidence, the evidence of our course, to back up what we're saying, has really empowered some parents that we've worked with. There is just one group of parents that we feel we shouldn't be working with, but I want to make clear that we turn nobody away. The course really isn't suitable. If there has been or there is a risk of domestic violence, including coercive control, where one party is afraid of the other. What we encourage on this course is communication. And what we are not about is forcing anybody to communicate with someone that they are afraid of. Having said that, if a parent, even if they are the victim of abuse, wants to come to us, we think there is some benefit in us being able to support them. Similarly, even where someone has been accused of abuse, even if they accept their behaviour, again, we believe that there is some benefit for the family and for the person themselves to come along on the course. But if there is any question around domestic abuse, we do have a system of working through. We have a screening system to take parents through some questions, just to make sure that the course will give them some benefit. And if we don't think that their personal circumstances are right for the course, we will signpost on to other organisations. All right, that's the presentation. I'm going to close down my slides. I hope that's okay, Aruna. And I know I'm here for any questions.